So I think I've girl bossed a little too close to the sun. I think for the past month or so at least, I've been doing way too much of the business and the marketing and the admin stuff, and not enough of the art stuff. So in the past month, I designed, launched, marketed, and led a 3-day business planning workshop, which is my first live event basically ever, and that was a huge project. I also negotiated a bunch of brand deals. I backed out of a huge deal, which was very scary, and I'm working on designing 2 new digital products. So, all that to say, I have been a busy little beaver. I've been doing so many things. And I've really been neglecting the art stuff lately. So, let's fix that. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
I think one of the big reasons why I'm so focused on business and marketing and growing slowly and sustainably rather than taking big financial risks is because I spent a huge chunk of my life in very close proximity to poverty. For me and many other people, the idea of suddenly becoming homeless or filing for bankruptcy or becoming a victim of a financial scam or having your house foreclosed on, it's not a thing that happens to like other more unfortunate people that you see on TV. It's a real thing. It happens to people really close to me. It happened to people really close to me, friends and family that I love and care about. The knowledge that it only takes a handful of things to go wrong in your life before you're on the streets is incredibly sobering. There is nothing like that. You are basically always closer to being homeless than you are to being a billionaire. That's just the way the world is. I don't want to go too in the weeds on my personal connection here because it is personal, and these events are very hard to talk about for people, and these effects are still being felt by the folks in my life that they revolve around. But I want to mention it because I think it provides really important context. It's context for my entire approach when it comes to building a business and the way that I go about thinking about scaling and growing my income, because financial stability is my number one priority, and it probably will always be my number one priority. If I need to go through periods where I focus on building up an income stream and thinking about business more than I think about my art, I will do that. If I need to go through periods where I sacrifice time on my art and creative energy to pursue this goal, I will do that. There are costs to this, of course, right? Like, it's not a thing that I enjoy doing. I don't create art because it's like a fun hobby. I do it because I love it. It's a compulsion for me. It's a thing that I have to do to feel fulfilled as a human, as a person, to live a good life. But sometimes there are just things that are more important, right? And I can't create to my fullest potential if I'm worried about money, if I'm stressed about paying my bills. That doesn't fuel my creativity. It makes me really stressed out, and that's not a good place to create from. And sometimes success in business and the financial stability, the life-changing financial stability that can provide means pivoting. It means working on new things and building up new income streams and products and marketing all of them, and all of that takes time away from art. I think at my core, I am kind of a one-track mind person. I can get into this laser focused state where I have one thing I want to work on and only one thing until that thing is done and out there. And interrupting this to shift gears, going through all of the tasks needed to run a business, can be somewhat unpleasant when I just want to work on that one thing. Because I know that leaning into that laser focus gives me better results. My best work comes out of these moments in time where I allow myself to just laser focus in on one particular thing. Like my best-selling product, for example, is my Art YouTubers workbook. This is a workbook that I made in 2021 for the first time, that first iteration. It was over a couple days in 2021. I left my apartment in New York City and I went to like a bookstore and I sat outside in kind of like the November chill, with my little jacket, my camera, my laptop, and I ordered a coffee, or I think it was maybe a hot chocolate, and I just sat there and I cranked out this thing. And in a couple days, I think like less than 48 hours maybe, I had this first version that was like maybe 50 odd pages or something ready to go. I mean, it was a lot of work, but that laser focus enabled me to really get things done, and it was so good. And I have since iterated on that product, right? I've made new versions. I have been trying to make the latest version since January, but because I haven't, you know, blocked out a specific time interval to only focus on that one thing, it hasn't happened yet, and that kind of sucks. When I don't make deliberate time to focus on specific projects and only that project, it kind of balloons out of control. Like it takes way longer than it should, and other tasks seem to always take precedence unless I make that my number one priority. And I think knowing this about myself is really good because now I can leverage it going forward and not make these same mistakes. I can structure my life and my business around this way of working and enable myself to have the freedom to go off and laser focus on something for an entire week. I'd like to make a video where I explore this even more, where I maybe try and capitalize on more project focused productivity on like a smaller scale, like focusing on one thing for an entire week, or like, putting all admin kind of work to the side until it's done, trying to just block out time to just focus on one project. I've been hearing a lot about Cal Newport's new book, Slow Productivity. Ali Abdal posted a good video about it. I've been really thinking about reading it. And to my understanding, because I haven't read it, in this book, Cal Newport really talks about narrowing your to-do list and only doing one thing at a time. Like some of the best creative people, he argues, got their most important, most impactful creative work done when they had nothing else on their plate. They retreated from society to only do this one thing. Like Jane Austen wrote all of her best-selling novels, as far as I know, in like a very short period of time when her family had like retreated to the English countryside, to kind of back out of all society. And she had all of this time, this unstructured creative time with nothing else on her plate, and she cranked out these novels that we are still seeing new versions of and reimaginings of today. They were so enormously impactful in literary history. Like yeah, she is such an important author. And to think that she didn't try and balance everything, that she deliberately tried to not do that, that she narrowed her focus and just did one thing instead of trying to do it all, is really liberating, I think, for me. It's difficult, of course, to kind of engineer that situation because it does take effort, and we live in a world where taking a vacation for 6 months is like not really a thing that a lot of us have the resources to do. But I'm hopeful that I can maybe create like micro versions of this for myself. Sorry if you hear the traffic noise outside. I think in a way, this feeds into the idea of eras, like brief periods of time with a specific theme. Everyone, especially musicians, are having an era right now. Like Billie Eilish is having an era. She's had a bunch of eras defined by different haircuts, different aesthetics. Jojo Siwa, for example, is having her own unfortunate era that we are all like kind of collectively making fun of. I like thinking about my own personal business and creative practice like eras because it provides more structure, but like loose structure, flexible structure. And it reinforces how I already feel about things. Like I already love doing project-based productivity where I have one thing that I'm doing, one thing that I'm known for, one thing that I'm talking about. And for the past couple of months, I have definitely been in a girl boss era. And by that, I mean I've been working on products and thinking about strategy and learning about product launches and branding and copywriting. I think it has been time enormously well spent, and I wouldn't change much looking back. But man, am I so ready to start cranking out new artwork again. And so that era is winding down and a new one is beginning. And as always, a huge help in just facilitating the creation of these eras is a longtime sponsor of the channel, an enormously valuable product that I use every single day, which is Squarespace, who have very kindly sponsored this video. What if I told you that Squarespace could be your online store, your portfolio website, and your email marketing, course hosting, membership, scheduling, and invoicing platform? Because Squarespace can not only do all of that, but it can do it well, like really well. Imagine a world where you're not paying $1 million a month for a bunch of subscriptions on 1 million platforms, but just one affordable price for all of those features, and it was all hosted on your own website. On top of that, Squarespace's fluid engine system makes designing a perfect website tailored to your brand extremely easy. So, not only is your website the hub for everything that you're doing online, but it's perfectly aligned with your brand and your aesthetic as a creative. I have been using Squarespace for years. Whenever I need a sales page for a mentorship program or a live event, I use Squarespace. It is so easy to use. I love the flexibility of their drag and drop editor, and you also have the ability to further customize your site with code if you need to. If you want to give Squarespace a try, you can support the channel by going to squarespace.com/Kelsey Rodriguez and using my code Kelsey Rodriguez for 20% off your first order of a website or domain. And now, back to the video. So I'm sure you've seen all the panels that I've been prepping in this video. Big panels, right? Larger than you've seen me work on before, in different shapes too. We've got some massive rectangles in here. We've got some really cool oval shapes. I am so hyped for some of these. I love working on like weird shaped surfaces. Like circles used to be a mainstay of my work for years when I was doing acrylic stuff. And I don't know, sorry. Wow, the traffic noise is so bad. I hope that you can't hear that. Yeah, I love working on weird shapes. I think rectangles and squares can be kind of boring after a while, and so I like working on ovals and circles, and it's a nice little variety. Yeah, I realized when I was editing this video that I have filmed footage that you haven't seen for months. I have footage from April that you haven't seen. Vlog footage from April. That's right. I have vlog footage from May and June and July. And I've been waiting because I haven't been making a ton of art lately. I'm not necessarily, like I said, I'm not mad about this. I think it just kind of comes naturally in where I've been. Like I've moved studios, I've been setting this place up, arranging all my furniture in 1 million different ways to try and find the optimal layout, and just doing a bunch of stuff. But now that era is kind of arriving, and I'm really looking forward to sharing all of the reference photos and the videos and the footage that I have been working on slowly and steadily over the past couple of months. I think all of these reference photos are fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the moment where I can just sit down and lock in and create like an entire collection of paintings in just a couple weeks. I think that would be fantastic. And I love thinking about that kind of system of making creative work, right? Where I'm just locked in. I am only doing one thing. Everything else is put to the side. And the focus is so tempting. It's so tempting. I long for that. Like in my heart of hearts, I long for that. I think, I don't know, I know this idea of laser focusing in on one kind of task or project at the expense of everything else might seem unhealthy or risky to some people. Like I acknowledge there's a certain kind of mania inherent in that, because it isn't like very balanced, like literally at all. But I don't know if that's a bad thing. Like, okay, as humans, just empirically, your attention is quite narrow. It's been getting narrower over time with like, short form content in TikTok, but your attention can only be split in so many directions before the quality of your work degrades significantly and you just become better at all the things that you're doing. There's just no way that you can multitask and retain the quality and efficiency of your work. And on top of all of that, like, I am just one person doing all of this, running my entire business. I am just one person. I do literally everything in my business. Like, I don't have a team, guys. It's just me back here. The scripting, the filming, the editing, the brainstorming the shots that I want to get, the learning the camera equipment, and, the color grading, the answering emails, the negotiating with brands, the, shooting B-roll footage, the taking reference photos, going on trips, planning out concepts, painting, all the things like prepping panels. I do all of that shit myself. There's no one helping me. It's just me back here. The man behind the curtain is just me. And that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. There are so many hats that you have to wear, and only one of them is making art. That is the unfortunate reality. I think I'm just not in a place right now where I can go to the studio and I can only make art, and that's all that I do, for months at a time. That's just not the business that I've built yet. Yet. Operative word being yet. Growth mindset, right? I would love to create a business over time that cultivates me being able to spend months at a time just making creative work. But I've only been full time for, 2 years. This is just going to take effort and constant iteration. And if you're watching this and you're just starting out, I don't want you to hold yourself to a standard of thinking that you need to be able to do everything constantly all of the time, because I've been there and that is exhausting. It is so exhausting. So I figure that my intention is already split a million ways. And if I can go back toward a more intuitive way of working and limit my focus just a little bit, I will simultaneously be more fulfilled, more creative, and more successful. I think this, to me, is what girl bossing too close to the sun is. It's when you divide your focus and try to do so many things that you end up really degrading the quality of your work, the authenticity and the content that you share, and making very costly trade-offs in your work quality and your personal life, like the work-life balance that you have and the energy that you are bringing to the table. Business is really hard. Entrepreneurship is really hard, and success looks different for every single person, and the keys to productivity are also very uniquely personal. And navigating that, at least in my experience, is a process of continual self-reflection and iteration. You have to just try stuff over and over again until you find something that works for you, and even then continuing to improve on it. To put it less elegantly, I'm just making this shit up as I go. And yeah, I think at least lately I have been not making great choices about girl bossing too close, or like the era. While I've been working on these products and like this past launch that I had that was very successful, I made $10,000 in that launch. I had made a whole video about it if you want to go watch that. But I sacrificed things. Like, I wasn't hanging out with my friends as much. I was ordering way too much DoorDash, which I have a really bad habit of doing when I'm stressed out. I should really like meal prep or something. And I think I could have made better choices, but yeah, I don't know. You're just trying your best and you're just doing stuff. This painting that you guys have seen me work on throughout this video is just me trying to work out some concepts basically while I work on a larger painting. Like, this is like the prep work, the study for the larger painting. I really love the direction that it's going right now. I'm really, really optimistic. Painting up close foliage like this is not my weak point. I am the kind of artist where, especially lately, I have been working at really aggressively resolving my weak points. Like, when you start out drawing figures, you always draw them like with their hands behind their back, right? Or like wearing very loose clothing because you hate the idea of drawing hands, and so you want to engineer situations where you don't have to do that. I like to call that like avoiding your weak spots. I am trying to, at least right now, veer in the other direction and aggressively confront my weak points. And so there is like some psychological struggle in doing this right now because it is a little bit painful to be bad at something. But I think it is a necessary part of growing as a creative and a thing that I really have to be zealous about pursuing and confronting constantly to grow and to get better. So yeah, I hate painting foliage like this, brush like this, grass like this, but I think it's really important for my creative growth and a thing that I need to confront as much as possible. I think I'm fairly good at painting water and rocks right now and skies. I think I've kind of got that a little bit down pat, but foliage like this is not a thing that I'm good at. I took this photo actually a couple of months ago. Like I said, I am very backlogged when it comes to all the creative ideas that I have. I took this photo with a couple friends when we were visiting the the Berkeley Botanical Garden. And we were walking around a little bit, taking lots of photos, and we ended up like setting up in this different area and doing a couple of like plein air studies and stuff. But I didn't really like that, the results that I got out of that. But this reference photo, these two reference photos, I have found very compelling. And so before I launch into, a big painting on one of the panels that we've been prepping in this video, I wanted to take a moment to work out some of those problems in advance and figure out, okay, what kind of color strategy do I want? What is my order of operations when it comes to this painting? And kind of resolving any of those really big problems in advance so I don't waste so much time and energy resolving them for the first time on that big panel. So, yeah, we don't finish this painting in this video. I'm sorry about that if that's what you were hoping, but this is where I want to end for today. I hope that you guys have really enjoyed this video. If you want to get more continual updates on my creative journey and my process and how I think about business, I'm really going to I'm really going to try to be more active on my email list. My email list is right now very intermittent. Sometimes you get like 2 emails a week when I'm launching something cool and exciting, and sometimes you get no emails for a year. So it's very intermittent. I try to not spam people, and there's a link to sign up for that in the description if you are interested. And that is where I will be talking about my latest paintings, my sketches, the trips that I'm going on, and the products that I am launching, because I have a lot of stuff in the pipeline. This is a really big year for my business, and I'm just really glad that you guys are here along for the journey. We hit 250,000 subscribers literally today, and I hope, fingers crossed, that we can hit 300K by the end of the year. I think that would be really cool. So, yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.